Good evening. Welcome everybody to tonight's Followers Adrift in a Different Lifestyle. Hello again, this is our number 4 in the series. Zach and I are back to discuss this time capitalism and the lifestyle that is being a capitalist. We'll expand on that in a little bit, but before we... what was that?
We're going with capitalist now. I like that.
Oh,
Being
yeah,
capitalist.
right. Oh, sorry, we just discussed what we call them, didn't we? I'll just change it up for everyone as we go.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's fine. All right, let's get started though with a word of prayer. If you just bow your heads. Great Father in heaven, we come before you now, so thankful that we can come around your words and come around our collective understanding of your plan and purpose with us all. We thank you that we have some knowledge of you and of your great plan for this earth. We thank you again that even in these difficult times, we can be encouraged by your word. It can encourage us despite any situation that may behold us. And so, Father, we are eternally grateful for the things that we continue to learn from your word. We pray that you'll be with us tonight, that we might understand a little bit more of how other people may choose to live and how we might be able to perhaps intercept them in their life and make them think about the great creator of this world and the great plan that is coming. So, Father, we thank you again for all things, and we ask this, of course, through your Son who comes quickly. Amen. Nice. Alrighty. So capitalism, the people that are in this lifestyle, let's get into it. What does all of that mean? What is capitalism indeed? This is just a quick quote that I found online. It was pretty much the main go-to line around capitalism. And it reads, capitalism is an economic system in which private individuals or businesses own capital goods. The production of goods and services is based on supply and demand in the general market, known as a market economy, rather than through central planning, known as a planned economy or command economy. There you go. So done. Yeah, pretty much. So I guess this doesn't really introduce what we want to talk about tonight too much, because we want to talk a little bit more broadly and generally around basically, oh, is that too soon for you one? Around
Amazing.
People that are motivated in their life to make money, and that is their lifestyle. Yeah, so they may be someone that just has other things going on in life, but their main priority in life is to really grow their wealth and to whether it's through businesses, through investments, whatever means. So we're using capitalism tonight, I guess, as a bit of a loose term around people that basically choose a lifestyle of generating money, and that is their main priority. Are you happy with that, Zach?
Yeah, well, so I've got a really close friend who's actually a Christadelphian, and they're almost being pulled away from Christadelphia because they say, well, if I'm going to go out and I'm going to earn lots of money to support those who I love and are close to me, so I can give them whatever they want. And like, that's actually probably the sort of target audience we're going for, right? So
Yeah,
they're
right.
utilizing them as enterprises. So yeah, absolutely, I totally agree with what you said.
Nice.
Just
all right. Are you ready for your site? Oh, actually, before we get started properly, I forgot. I have prepared tonight, but I must confess I've also been preparing other things. So the preparation of the PowerPoint's probably not as good because I've been busy making a hat. Can you see that?
Whoa!
Yeah. To be honest, I'm just upset. Yeah, I'm bringing props to this now, by the way. Sorry, blindsided you there.
I could have had like a piss.
Wow. Anyway, it's just to help remind people what we're talking about tonight. All right, Zach, tell us about this.
Oh, okay. So guys, I've had a family member come to me with a conspiracy that COVID is all about the wealthy are planning something in the background. So if you look here, this is actually interesting. I don't think COVID's a conspiracy or anything. But so these are the oligarchic dozen of the world. They're the 12 richest people in the world. So if you think capitalism, your mind generally jumps to monopolies or someone getting richer and richer, because in capitalism, it tends to happen that a lot of wealth gets distributed towards the top. So these 12 people here, they came into COVID in March 18th. So you look in the first column of the table with the numbers. So Jeff Bezos had $113 billion. Now that's a lot of zeros. That's a ludicrous amount of money. If you were a millionaire, you'd be happy, but he's a millionaire 113,000 times over, right? Now, what happened is during COVID, his wealth has grown to $189 billion. Like, that is ludicrous amounts of growth. He's earned $76 billion, right, during COVID, which is crazy. And it just shows how, like, in a capitalism state or whatever of the globe, the rich seem to be getting like really rich in a position or a place where they shouldn't. Like, it seems like the world's going into like recession almost, but how are these 12 people? In fact, you look at the column, everyone's getting way richer in the top dozen people in the world. Like, they've earned so much money in such a short span of time, and it's crazy. So I call them the winners of COVID 2020. And it's, I don't know, I think it nicely introduces the extreme end of capitalism, like distribution of wealth. Any thoughts on that, Josh?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, what sort of money is that? How do you even comprehend that sort of number? I did see a post a couple of months ago, maybe, someone basically saying, I think in this world we should allow people to get to 99,999,999, a whole lot of nines, and as soon as you get to that, we'll just give you a trophy that says I have won capitalism, and from that point on, you just basically, the money can't be yours because it's just getting too ridiculous. So
Yeah.
fine, let's just cap it somewhere. That is well past any cap that I could imagine is useful to anyone, really. Although,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so the next slide, that's when the next slide comes in. Oh, okay, wait, can we go back really briefly?
Yeah, we can.
So Jeff Bezos we talked about. Let's look at number 5 on the list. Elon Musk went from 24.5 billion up to 73 billion. That's ludicrous. Like, he's tripled his wealth during COVID. What the heck? Anyway, let's go next slide. So this dude, so I want to contrast these two characters in light of capitalism. So let's go to the next slide. So what can you
I'd love
do?
to. I'm stuck on the drawing tool.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's fine.
how do we do it once you've gone to drawing tool?
Jeff Bezos's wealth source, if you look on the right, is Amazon, and Elon Musk, his wealth source is Tesla and SpaceX mainly. Okay, cool, thank you. So if we look here, I've circled Whole Foods under Jeff Bezos just to make a little so if you have a look, Jeff Bezos, he's the world's richest guy, and he's a great example of like ultimate like greed-driven wealth. He's brilliant. Like, he knows how to make his wealth build like to ludicrous amounts, and he just goes and he buys up all of these other companies. So you can see he had Amazon, but all of those companies around Amazon are companies that he just buys up, because when you are the richest, you have the power to just go and suck in all of these other companies into your major company, right? So Amazon just goes, and it's just fully taking over the world's like online retail space, right? Because he just slowly buys up all of the things and they become subsidiaries of Amazon, right? So let's leave Bezos for a second, because I want to talk about Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk, people either love him or they hate him. He's like Kanye, right? So Elon Musk, I think he's a great example of someone who gets his wealth and continuously puts it on the line to do things that actually revolutionize and help the earth. If you look at those 5 companies there, SpaceX is helping to make space travel sustainable. Like, we need to put satellites up in the air and stuff. OpenAI is like crazy. OpenAI actually beat humans at my favorite computer game last year, which I'm a little bit sad about. So he's built an artificial intelligence engine that's smarter than humans at a really complicated game. The Boring Company is a way to fix traffic congestion in cities. Neuralink is a way to get, that's pretty scary, make us into cyborgs really. And Tesla is electronic cars. So a massive thing we were worried about is climate change, right? And Tesla's actually fully revolutionized batteries, lithium batteries, and made it so that we can drive without fuel, pretty much. And Tesla just, I think they're bigger than Toyota now, right? They're pretty much one. They are the car company now. So he's gone and he's used his ludicrous wealth, like things like PayPal sending money overseas, that was Elon as well. So he uses this ludicrous wealth to make the world feel progress. And without capitalism, you wouldn't have these things, right? Without capitalism, we wouldn't have been able to advance the things that he's been able to advance in his lifetime. So with the right agenda, and I totally understand if you disagree with me, he's horrible in many senses, but he's done brilliant things that really do help the world. Anyway, that's my spiel of capitalism and a couple of good examples.
Yeah, that I'm happy with that. No, I'm going to say that I think we wound that up is basically, yeah, the world is a result of capitalism in the sense of technology, particularly, and in some part at least quality of life. I guess quality of life is probably a mixed bag of other things as well.
Yeah.
But
well, this is $100 that I can do anything on, and this is purely capitalism driven, right?
Yeah.
We as consumers get these things that cost us hardly any time. I can work for less than a day, and I have this cell phone that I can do so much crazy stuff on. It's unbelievable, and that's all because of capitalism. Anyway,
yep.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's good. All right, should we move on?
Yeah. Sorry, I got to say some bad things about capitalism. Oh, dang it.
Well, yeah, well, we might be able to at this point. Erase all drawings. There we go. Well, yeah. Before we get into the Bible quotes, then look, it's obviously it has a lot to answer for as well. It obviously creates a lot of corruption and greed. It creates a lot of inequality, I would say, when you're looking at some of those numbers. That there's all sorts of silly figures like 1% of the world's population have this, and obviously that list alone is probably the entire wealth of countries around the world. Like $113 billion. Put that in perspective. Can I pull this up while I am talking to you all? Yes, I can. New Zealand, what New Zealand pulled in last year for the financial year from taxes and revenue was, if you can see it here, $119 billion. How much did Jeff have?
He had 180. Wait, if you scroll down a little bit, it's there. He had 189.
Right. Okay. So he has more. He has more wealth than what we generated in a year in tax for the army of 5 million people under the rule of Jacinda. So yeah.
Crazy.
It's pretty weird to think about the what that means for power and everything as a result of being such a heavy capitalist. Capitalism's been terrible in some countries. Russia, even though they had a pretty bad situation with extreme socialism, they then went into pretty extreme capitalism, and that's where you get the oligarchs, that word you brought up before, Zach, which is basically just a whole lot of super rich Russians now, because they bought up all the energy companies, the TV stations, just everything, the whole network, all different networks around Russia were all bought up within a couple of years after they sort of went, we're not socialists anymore, let's go into capitalism, and boosh, all of a sudden you just had, rather than the government owning it, 100 people owning it. So anyway, all right, let's get into some biblical examples, because that's kind of why we're here. Here's a couple of ones that may be known to some, but not everyone. Abraham, otherwise known as Abraham, later in his life, had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. He's probably the first sort of notable capitalist, I guess, in the sense that he had a lot of possessions. Nothing wrong about it. He just had acquired a lot of wealth, and when I say nothing wrong about it, God was certainly by his side in his life. He was one of the most faithful men that ever lived. And you know, there's nothing to say that this was by any means a hindrance to Abraham. If anything, perhaps, you know, allowed him to take opportunities he would have had because of the wealth he had. As a result, his son also, Isaac, was, I guess, inherited a decent amount from his father, but also was pretty savvy himself. So you can see in that second verse in Genesis 26, he continued to grow until he became very wealthy as well. So, yeah, you can.
To the extent he became so rich that Abimelech says to him, "You are more powerful than my country." Like he's really rich. He's like oligarch level, where Abimelech's like, "You got to go. You're more powerful than us. Like we can't handle having you around. You're too much of a risk." Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's pretty much, and that's maybe how they get treated today in some cases. In fact, there is a Russian oligarch parked up at the harbour in Auckland, isn't there, half of the time, because he's still running away from the government over there. So anyway. Okay, let's look at a couple of biblical examples from the New Testament. A couple of pictures. For those that know the Bible well, may recognize what these could be. The first one is, oh, and by the way, there's actually only 4 references in the New Testament to the word possession or possessions. So I thought that was interesting. The first one is here in Matthew 19. And to be fair, I've cheated slightly because this one is actually mentioned in Mark as well, but the same story, Gospels repeating the same stories as we know. So Matthew 19, and it's a little story, so I'll read that. Verse 16, now behold, one came and said to him, good teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? ... basically represents a bit of dialogue between this man that has come to Jesus, the good teacher, and has asked him this question, and Jesus said, well, make sure you pray to God and you do these good things for people and you follow all the commandments of God. And Jesus then, this young man then says, I've done all those things, so I'm pretty much there then. That's good news for me. Jesus said to him, if you want to be perfect, go, sell what you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. And verse 22, but when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. So we have Jesus interacting with someone who has made a lot of money, and his reaction to this idea that he should give it away, upset.
Yeah, that's a big thing that comes out in the Bible, isn't it? The old serving God and mammon, right? Do you reckon that's what's shining through a little bit here, or is it something else?
I guess so. The fact he was sorrowful, right? That's the big key, because this next verse sort of demonstrates quite a contrast, I guess, to that, which is Acts 4, and it says, and this is a time where Christ has ascended to heaven, and he's left people on earth armed with all this knowledge around this new hope of his second coming. And these people are starting to kind of formulate how they're going to operate as a group of believers. And basically what it says here is that all the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. So quite a contrast in I guess the idea, what they felt the value of their positions were.
Yeah.
Anything to add before we move on?
I mean, I feel like that level almost seems unattainable to a lot of us, right? Like all of us sort of read that section of Acts 4 and we're like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
I have a little bit of fear. I'm like, then I wouldn't have a coffee machine, you know? I'd have to share, it might get broken. It's pretty brutal.
True.
I mean, That's like communism. It's like biblical communism, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty it is full on, and yeah, let's keep going because it is a challenge which not many I know of is taken up. All right, let's keep going. Number 3 of these examples of the word position is in Acts chapter 5. Real quick story on this. Basically, a man and a woman called Ananias and Sapphira, they kind of swung back to that first story in terms of their idea, or sort of halfway, I guess you could say, really, isn't it? Where they sold a position. Sorry?
Exactly halfway.
Exactly halfway. That's right, because they sold a position, but they kept back part of the price. And they kept that back without anyone's knowledge, and they presented their money to the apostles, saying, here is all of our money that we got for selling a position. Bit of dialogue, and then they both died. In this story, they are carrying out Ananias in the image there you can see, because he has dropped dead, and Sapphira is now claiming in front of the other apostle that, oh no, this is all our money, I promise. And then yes, to her demise, she also dropped dead. So yeah, an interesting third use of the word position. And the fourth reference will be at the end and will be used as part of our pitch.
I want to see it now.
There you go. No, you'll have to stick around. All right. So as we did last week, it is your turn.
Oh yeah.
Any tips, Zach, for how they might find some biblical examples of capitalism, or what we're talking about in a broader sense?
You mean to teach them how to cheat on Google? Is that what you're saying?
If you like, yeah.
Okay, guys, try typing open Bible, one word, and then a phrase that's related to it, and it gives you like an amazing list. Oh, so good. Try that out. Open Bible, and then try wealth, try money, try possessions, try all those things, and it will give you a real nice list. Sorry, that's
all right. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh no! Oh well, hang on. What happened?
Oh no!
There we go. Oh.
And
if you're stuck,
still up there.
It's okay. If you're stuck, we've got some verses there at the bottom, which mostly Zach found, and I found 1 or 2 of as well. But hey, if you'd like to venture outside of those, then please do. And we will do what we did last week, where we will get a few people to turn on at least their microphone, if not their camera, or if you're shy, the chat box is there as well.
I'll be reading them out. I'm excited to do that this week.
All righty. How did you find? Well, let's do some little bit of quiet buffering for time. How did you find the biblical examples in this topic? Did you kind of find them pretty easy to find? Were they pretty all on the same point?
I wanted to find someone that was drawn away by wealth, and I feel like there's something in my brain like telling me, but I can't picture. Like, I want to find someone that was righteous or good in God's eyes and then turns away because of money.
Are we're not happy Solomon was sort of running that line?
I don't know if money was his issue per se. He was definitely running the line. As doesn't it say it's the woman for him, his wife?
Yeah, fair enough.
So who's got like the money? Who just loves the money too much? So that's what was going through my head. I'd love you guys to answer that. That's another option for you. Other than obviously the rich young ruler, but then I want someone that didn't have money, was like super righteous, and then gets money and then gets pulled away is what I'm looking for. So if you guys can find an example for that, little bonus point. Oh, Solomon. So Ron's going with Solomon. Let's check that out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's showing the Queen of Sheba all of his riches and wealth and his storehouses and stuff. Like that's pretty legit flexing, right?
Judas. Yeah, Judas. It's so
Ooh.
obvious. Is it? It was.
Was he a capitalist? Or he was
Yeah.
just a what was his go? You reckon that fits the yeah?
Yeah, I reckon he's the guy. Yeah, no, you know, it's too blindingly obvious that you just brush it over. Gehazi, yes, Gehazi's great. Oh, thank you. Yes,
Yeah. Okay,
that's
there we
yeah, they're
go.
fantastic. Have we got any? Yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful one. But he doesn't. Gehazi's like he wants just a little bit. It's like a few changes of clothes and a bit of silver, please, sir.
Yeah.
I want someone that's like cool. Nah, yeah, they've done good examples. Are fantastic. Thank you, Jackie, for Judas and Gnomes for Gehazi. Are great examples.
I found the
Um,
study overall it gets quite broad, which is cool. With 40 seconds remaining, I'm not sure what people have found, but I kind of start, you kind of get into work ethic when you start looking at this. You get into places of yeah, what it is to be wealthy, and a lot of proverbs. Obviously, you've got a couple mentioned there, and so quite sort of short, snappy things around it. But yeah, it was interesting amount of information. It wasn't wouldn't be what you expect if you didn't know the Bible. Yeah, you'd think it was kind of talked down a
yeah.
lot. It isn't, obviously. So, all right, let's do this. Whoa, it's screaming. Okay. Right, let's do you want to read out any of those comments, Zach, while the first person lines up? Or how do you
Yeah,
run this?
I'm gonna go straight. Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah. So Ron wants to talk about the taxes from Solomon. So I'm gonna read from 1 Kings 12, 11 and 12. It says, "My father imposed heavy demands on you, my father being Solomon. I will make them even heavier. My father, Solomon, punished you with ordinary whips. I will punish you with whips that really sting your flesh." Jeroboam and all the people reported to Rehoboam on the third day, just as the king had ordered when he said, "Return to me on the third day." Interesting little addition of verse 12 there. Pretty much, yeah. I think Solomon put huge taxes on them all, right? And then he didn't tax he didn't tax Judah, which is pretty brutal. So yeah, and obviously Israel was super rich when he was in power. Like they had merchant ships of everything coming in.
Yeah.
Nice. So 2 Kings, I'm gonna look up 2 Kings 4 verse 7.
All right, who gave us that one? Gnomes, was it?
Yeah, it is. She went and told the prophet. He said, "Go sell the olive oil, repay your creditor, and then you and your sons can live off the rest of the profit." Yeah, God endorsed sales. Yeah, it's a
Profit
an
margins.
oil
Yeah.
business. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
enterprising and enterprising widow. I like that. We got 1 Timothy 6 verse 20 that says, "Ooh, I'm going to look it up actually." 1 Timothy, oh, that's First Thessalonians, oh, shucks. 6 and verse 20. "O Timothy, protect what has been entrusted to you. Avoid." Are you sure it's verse 20? "Command those who are rich," in verse 17, "in this world's goods, not to be haughty or to set their hope on riches, which are uncertain, but on God, who richly provides us with all things for our enjoyment." Yeah, so Shez
Read verse
tells us,
21. It says, "For by professing it, some have swerved from the faith."
yeah, is
Ah.
that for profane jest and absurdities or knowledge? But yeah, I reckon there's like there's definitely great sections in Timothy. It's Timothy that says, "For the love of money is the root of all sorts of evils," as well, right? What else have we got here? Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. So what did they want? They wanted the power, the money and the power. They wanted the enterprise for themselves. Proverbs 30. Oh, what does Proverbs 30 verse 8 and 9 say? I mean, you guys, surely you've got computers to look up these verses. You know, Control C, Control V, right, guys?
Yeah, and let's hear someone else. Thank you, Cheryl, for your voice there. Who else has got something they'd like to say in terms of their verse? Anyone want to read one out?
I'm gonna get Ash's one. I like. So we've got Phineas and what's the other guy's name? Eli and Phineas, is it? Hophni and Phineas. Hophni and Phineas were the guys that when the people came in to pay their sort of taxes to God in their sacrifice, they would shove the fork in and they would sort of just shave off the top. What a great business for their 2 non-vegan sons. Yeah, that's good.
Reese, I'll read your verse, although I'll give you 5 seconds to turn on your mic and read it for us if you like. No, he's not coming on. All right, Reese's verse is Proverbs 30, verse 8 and 9, which reads, "Keep falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. Otherwise, I may have too much and disown you and say, 'Who is the Lord?' Or I may become poor and steal and so dishonor the name of my God." I like it. Give me poverty nor riches. Just give me a good old middle of the road existence in terms of, wealth.
Yeah.
It's good.
Are we on the upper end of the spectrum? Living
What's
in
that?
New Zealand, Auckland, in this day and age? We're pretty well off, aren't we?
We sure are. Yep. That's yep, no denying that. All right, any last ones before we move on?
There's a good one in Proverbs 28:16. Well, not 16, Proverbs 28, verse 19, which says, "The one who works his land will be satisfied with food, but whoever chases daydreams will have his fill of poverty."
Nice.
What do you think it means by fantasies? Mine says fantasies rather than daydreams. But what are you chasing? Is that, yeah, interesting.
Hebrew is empty things or vain things. Following worth pursuits.
You could easily include the pursuit of ridiculous wealth as a vain pursuit, I would say. Nice, I like that.
Happiness, is that vain? Daydream, come on, people.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a verse about the reward of working.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, no, that is good. Very good. All right, should we crack on? That was good. I want if we could all try and remember these verses, because we will, as we have for every one of these sessions, at the end have an opportunity to pitch to someone who is in this lifestyle of making money. Maybe it'll be me. I'm the one with the hat. You've got to convince me to end my wealth making ways with a little 30-second pitch. But yes, obviously using the Bible is ideal. So, but let's crack on. Some other things. Zach, what can you tell us about this? Similarities.
So I like this. What we've got on the left is we've got dissimilarities, right? And then on the right, we've got our similarities. So I think a big dissimilarity with the Bible is there seems to be that consistent message. We've got that dude that's torn between the money and the Christianity. That's the symbol for Christianity. And I think that that's a really big theme that comes up through the Bible. You can't serve God and mammon. You can't sit there being torn between these two masters per se, right? You have to pick one of them. There's not an option to be someone that pursues excess wealth and pursues Christianity. I mean, sometimes like Abraham and Isaac, he may just give you good wealth or whatever. But if that's your pursuit and that's your end game, you're gonna have, what do you call that? Clash. It's gonna clash. Another thing, I've got to try and remember what I was doing. Similarities, enterprising, wanting to. Yeah, I think the other picture sort of brings it the same idea, right? Money is like a hemorrhage. It's something that's gonna hold you back from being able to do, for example, charitable works or to pursue the Bible. That you can't have the two. They're mutually exclusive, right? If that's your goal is to get lots and lots of money, it's going to get in the way of you pursuing Christianity. And I think that seems to be a message throughout the Bible. Yes, gnomes, it certainly is a money tree that we're looking at on the right. So I think a similarity between Christianity and capitalism is this idea of growth, right? Capitalism, you invest yourself, your time. If you look at these people that really did succeed, they are the people that lock themselves in a place or go all in to grow, right? They really focus hard and put in like heaps of energy to make sure that that growth happens, and they stick it out. And I think that that's something that happens in Christianity as well. We really we invest hugely into Christianity as a religion, and we have that as a really prime focus in our life. And it's not something you can just randomly pick up and go. It's something that's investment, and you're always trying to grow within Christianity. So I think those are what I was going for.
I think there's a for those that tuned in on Sunday, there's a message from John Popel and his exhort, which was that he encouraged us all to look at our journey as quite linear and to avoid this circle type cyclic life, because that's he kind of demonstrated that the Bible speaks poorly of that life, or and that is not, you know, a way that you'll make progress. So we are to you know, have this linear path and constantly increasing. And I guess capitalism is a little bit like that as well. The increase of wealth is more of a linear path. You don't really want to go through a cycle, even though many people do with many failures. The ultimate goal is just to, you know, have a direct line trajectory. That's like, so that's a strong similarity.
Yeah, perfect.
Something we can maybe relate to, if that is a way that we can talk to people in this lifestyle. I don't know. Yes.
Yeah.
Any other similarities that
Sure.
we've
No, that's it. That's 100% of the similarities done.
Okay. If you have any other ones that you can think that that you know, then please write them in. So this is the third or the fourth question that we do of 5, and this is, why might a life of capitalism or making money, making wealth, appeal over Christianity? What is it that draws people perhaps away, as you know, we've talked about the people in the Bible that are perhaps drawn away with wealth, or just never even touch Christianity because they've never considered it a place they want to be, or a way of life they want to live. So what might appeal over capitalism, over Christianity? What have they got that we don't?
I think I talked to my brother Jabin actually, and because he's just finished a degree in economics, and I said, why might capitalism appeal? I asked this exact question: why might capitalism appeal over Christianity? And he said, there's no moral obligations. And we were thinking, so, which I think is a really interesting thing to look at. We have a really set structure in place, whereas in capitalism, the idea is just to forward yourself and to keep, like, the picture we were thinking of putting on is almost, it's going to be brutal, but I'm going to tell it to you visually rather than put it up, is like a slave driver whipping a slave. Would be a good way to sort of get the idea across that capitalism is sort of built on the backs of other people. You do whatever you can to bring yourself up over your other man. So there's no moral obligation, right? You're in it for yourself, and you just sort of you see it. The people that get to the top are these like crazy people who are aggressive and like try to grasp power and don't worry about others as they do it. So I think that that's yeah, it's a scary thing to be an appeal, but you've got no one to answer to.
Yeah, and when you say there's no obligation, obviously some people do feel an obligation to still operate in a certain way, which is you know what we would hope as Christians, that you know still live this a life of generating a bit of wealth, would live a certain, well, yeah, would see an obligation to do things morally. but yeah, I like the freedom one that you've got that image there. I think that's probably a big appeal. People probably see ultimate freedom as being wealth. That is really, and to be fair, there is an element of money which probably does get you out of some harm, and certainly in other countries, you know, that's pretty obvious. You can find yourself in pretty bad places if you can't afford to get out of them, basically. But overall, I'd say there is a sense of freedom that people are chasing. And,
yeah, for sure.
And even though, hey, I'm sure we'll get some comments flooding in around the freedom in Christ. We understand that, but you know, someone that's generating wealth hasn't bothered to look for freedom there, right? So
yeah. So we've got this comment from Jackie. Speaking of comments, she said capitalism is getting, Christianity is giving.
ooh,
Pretty
pretty good.
poignant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going to transition, sorry, Jackie, to do this to you. But I think another appeal is the giving pledge. Have you guys heard about the giving pledge? That the top billionaires, so started by Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, and that's Melinda Gates next to Bill there, they have made this deal that the super rich have to give away half of their money before they die. Whew, have to part with $100 billion. Whew, it's going to be tough, but they have to give up half of their money. So I think an appeal might be that you look at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and you can see that they actually do a huge amount to bring people out of poverty. So once you actually start getting really wealthy, you're in a position of power where you can help other people. And some people might look at it like, well, if I'm a Christian and I stay at this level of life, I can only help so many people. Whereas if I get super rich, maybe I can feed 1 million people for however long, you know? So maybe that's an appeal.
Yeah.
True.
True.
I'll bring up a quote. Dan Walton, when he saw the title of this evening, he said, capitalism, interesting. Going to go on how it's pulled millions out of poverty and how it provides freedom and opportunity to millions. And I think that sort of captures that idea there as well. Thanks, Dan. But yeah, so maybe that's an appeal, that bigger picture, they think that they can make the difference.
That's right. And you've already mentioned Elon Musk. You know, some of what he's doing is to try and we talked about social justice last week. He's kind of, you know, he's in some ways he's doing the things that people are wanting to for those causes. And so is Bill and Melinda with they've done a lot of work around malaria, I think it is, and trying to eradicate that. And he's been trying to, what's this other big thing that Donald Trump basically squashed? I don't know, but he's trying to get all sorts of, you know, just loving the world stuff off the ground. So
yeah. Oh yeah, Bill and Melinda Gates, huge things to help the world out, and they put a lot of money into research and like women's rights around the world, which is really good.
Okay, so how can we compete with that? We'll come to that shortly with our pitch. But firstly, what could Christians learn from capitalism? Let's do this somewhat quickly, so we can get on to our pitch at the end.
I'll power through them, mate. You click the buttons as I finish them. Industriousness. I think that we can learn a lot from people that like aspire to earn lots, because they just keep on pushing on, right? They put in all of their energy into like building themselves up. So what if we could try and get that energy, and we really focused on treasure in heaven, and we had that level of industriousness for the ecclesia or for giving to other people. Next. Growth, right? You'll see that with capitalism, you get lots of progression and things enhanced. Like I talked about Elon before, how he's able to make these radical changes in the world that really help. So maybe we could learn how to be progressive in the ecclesia and how to find solutions for problems that we have. Maybe that could be driven more. This is yours, you go.
Oh, I found this verse, thought it was good. And to be honest, the gravity of this is almost as full on as the ones that, you know, you should sell all your possessions. This has a similar sort of tone of of quite absolute. But if anyone doesn't provide for his own, and especially his own household, he is denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. So I don't know, what can we learn from that quote? I'm not sure, other than there is obviously some responsibility.
I think it's similar to what Andrew brought up before, right? That we can't just discount the fact that, like, we're not anti-capitalism. We do have to try and build our wealth, like, but to a certain degree, we need to supply for those around us. That's just a basic thing humans should be doing.
Yep, and that's again, I think I liked, of all the verses we went through, I liked Teresa's one the most, around the whole basically I hope that we could be neither in poverty nor riches, and this would still answer that call to be someone that can provide. And obviously what do you think about being an unbeliever if you can't do that, though? That's a pretty full-on comment.
Worse than an unbeliever. Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah,
You're not
we
wrong.
can take some feedback about that later, maybe. All right, let's get on then to the pitch. So we've done this for our past 3 lifestyle choices, which were fitness and healthy eating. We did it for social justice, and we also did it for the other one, which was what's that?
Mindfulness meditation.
Mindfulness and meditation. So the idea with this is you have someone in front of you who is all about making money, and you've got an opportunity to perhaps introduce Christianity to them, or make them think a little bit around oh here we go, props indeed, around, you know, what they're doing with their life. And yeah, I'm going to press play while I keep explaining what you might do. Oh, I haven't changed this quote down here, social justice one, sorry about that. But yes, see if you can, in the next 3 minutes and 50 seconds, work out one little sentence or two that might just make someone, now that we know what drives them, perhaps what similarities we have with Christianity and capitalism, or people making wealth, what we know from the Bible, what is going to change a little bit of their life, maybe. No pressure.
Yeah. How are we going to fully convert an individual capitalist?
Pretty much.
How are you going to start a conversation with a capitalist? Not too brutal, you know. What's some reason that you can find with a capitalist?
I mean, that's the same with all of these, right? That should always be like, isn't there just leaving them? I mean, I like how Jesus answers a lot of people, and that it's just like a question back. And he just kind of drops the mic and walks away. So it can be as simple as that. It's just something that might stick in their mind, and just encourage them to rethink their main purpose in their life.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you just pruning your tree while we go through this?
Weeds that I hadn't seen, but they're all gone now. I've got a bit of grass that's growing in it, and it looks kind of cute. You reckon I should just leave it in there?
Is it okay? Yeah, is it ground covery looking, or is it just sort of weedy looking?
Can you see the grass? No.
No. Well, your screen's real small on my screen. But hey, good for moisture, maybe. I don't know.
There's a nice little layer of moss under it. But yeah, the grass looks cool. I'm going to leave it and see what happens. I'll pull it out later.
How did you go with thinking about your pitch, Zach? As people are hopefully thinking of these.
I've got the next slide actually, and it's a one thought thing. I reckon it's a 20-second banger. It's just a concept.
Yeah. I must say, because I think this lifestyle is, in a lot of ways, there's nothing wrong with it. It makes it more challenging. I mean, there's not a lot of things wrong with all the lifestyles we're looking at. There's nothing, you know, evil about them, but yeah.
What's more, everyone, all of us do them all to a certain degree, right? So yeah. Another, your mind, like I do a tiny bit of mindfulness, I do a tiny bit of fitness and healthy eating, I do a tiny bit of, what was the other one? Social justice.
Rioting, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a few riots. few things every now and then, why not? Oh, I'm just gonna chuck down there. One minute, people.
Do we want people to type them in or voice them? I think we want more voices and cameras this time if possible.
Yeah, for sure. I reckon someone just take the spot. Oh, can you even put in if you're going to say something? That'd be great, and then we can call on you. Be even better. Like
If you're shy, then we still want to hear those, so type it in.
Yeah, sure. Is anyone willing to give us even 10 seconds is enough? A minute's pushing it.
Do we want to go through ours first, or do you want to let them?
If no one pipes up, we'll go through ours, eh?
Okay.
But I would prefer for someone to drop theirs. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
Maybe someone's found my 4th verse around possession in the New Testament. Oh. All right.
Do you want me to say anything or not?
Yes, we do. Please, Darren, welcome.
Bring your camera on.
Hey? Oh.
Camera on if you can. You don't have to. Yeah.
Hello, all. Just hunting a psalm written by, I don't know who, but I always just say David because he wrote most of them. Psalm 112 talks about a man, a specific man. It's just a generic man, but it discusses about what this man does and how God blesses this man. So what do you want to hear first? What he does for God or how he will be blessed first?
What he does.
All right, this is what he does. He fears God, so he has great respect in God. He delights in God's commandments. He is gracious, merciful, and righteous, so he reflects God's character. He is generous, lends, and he gives to the poor. He conducts his affairs with justice, and he has just ultimate trust in God. Now, do you want to hear the blessings that he gets from God as a result?
Yeah.
His offspring will be mighty in the land. He will have wealth and riches in his house. He will never be moved, and he will be remembered forever. Here we have a connection of wealth and riches and this ultimate following of God coming together. Knowing, of course, that God provides that wealth to this man because he is a wonderful ambassador to God himself.
Beautiful.
That's all.
Thank you.
Nice. So there is actually a promise to people that choose to follow God that they will in part get riches and wealth, or this man specifically at least.
Correct.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Darren. That's what we want, people. Tough act to follow, though. All right, we're pushing on to one example, and then hopefully someone gets the confidence.
All right, let's do it. You're up first, I believe.
Okay, so this is there's a thing in economics called diminishing marginal utility. Now, I've got a whole packet of RJ's raspberry chocolate twists. I eat one of these. The first one is wonderful. This one is beautiful. But what happens is I then eat another one, and it wasn't quite as good as the first one I had. I then have another one, and it's losing, it's starting to hurt my teeth a little bit now, but it's still getting a little bit of enjoyment. But in fact, for every RJ's chocolate twist I eat, the next one isn't quite as good as the one before. And that's just what happens with the human brain. There's marginal utility, diminishing marginal utility. The enjoyment I get out of the next one is less than the one I had before. So when you start earning lots and lots of money, every little bit more money you get is a little bit meh. Once you have $1 million, $10,000 means nothing to you. Whereas if you told me, here's $10,000, I'd be like, what? It's amazing. And the problem with capitalism is it puts all of the money into the hands of a few, but they're not getting the enjoyment that the people at the bottom would be getting for that same amount of money. Come on, people. That's fine.
I like that. That's pretty good. Yeah. So
just I don't know. I have the Bible in.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to find the verse on there. Actually, yeah. Is that the x-axis?
No, that's yeah, sorry.
You're right.
Anyway, can I just say, Zach, like I just like to debunk that a little bit, because I always find that the second sip of wine is always better than the first sip of wine. And
You're not wrong.
no, but I would like
I
to
see
endorse it.
the
But
pretty
I'd
good
like
as
to.
well.
Yeah,
Can I
yeah.
talk
I
about
would like to.
addiction?
That's another. That's
Not
another
another thing. Sorry.
No, I
But
would
yes.
like to endorse it. I would like to endorse exactly what you're saying from a really good proverb about riches, or the pursuit of riches. Is the futility of it is that you never actually capture it. You never actually get what you're looking for. So Proverbs 23 verse 3 says, "Do not desire." No, that's not the one I was looking for. Sorry, I've lost it now. Hang on, where is it?
Give me some
It
wording.
is Proverbs 20. Yeah, it is Proverbs 23. Here you go. Verse 4, "Do not toil to acquire wealth. Be discerning enough to desist. When your eyes light on it, it is gone. For suddenly it sprouts wings, flying like an eagle towards heaven." And then it says, "Do not eat the bread of a man who is stingy, or do not desire his delicacies." So the contrast of, I guess what Jackie was saying, was it Jackie was saying about the concept of giving or taking, you know, like the desire of the pursuit of riches is futile in the sense that it doesn't bring any happiness. And if you go on the exhort that we had of John Popel and talking about getting on, you know, like the Ferris wheel, those that pursue something and don't actually get what they want, the more they pursue it, the faster they go on this Ferris wheel. You know, it's almost like that little rat on that Ferris wheel that goes round and round faster and faster and can't get off, and he's trapped in the circle of life. There you go.
Or like Zach's thing. That graph.
Nice.
Or like graph.
Yeah,
Well,
can I
that's
just add to that? Because I think like that's super. Because, and I think part of maybe your pitch could be stepping on from there is about trying to look past the goal of the gaining the wealth, to say like, what are you really looking for? Like, if at the end of your life and you look back and you go, what did you really want to have? What were your goals? Is the accumulation of lots of money, is that really the most important thing? And kind of be trying to sort of get someone to kind of look outside that. And then I think, like Ron mentioned about, you know, there's the, you know, looking for happiness or relationships or all those things that money actually can't buy. And money, of course, can't save you from sin and death. And kind of look beyond that and try and see if you could get someone to see beyond the goal of accumulating money as an object in itself, and then because of the futility that's in that, and that it won't actually give you the reward which maybe you really want. That's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's good. I needed a follow on. Actually, I was lacking the delivery. I think it's good.
I do have something.
Jeremy.
Yeah, just building on what's already been said. My pitch was going to be, so what is your goal? And if you look at capitalism, the goal is always changing. The richest person is always getting richer. So to become the richest person, you can't just say, I need to get $1 million. You have to always increase. It's not like it's an ever-changing goal. But with Christianity, what we have is we have a set goal, a goal that isn't going to change. And Philippians 3, I think, is really good, where it's saying, I press towards the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. So we know and we have a set goal that we can obtain if we look to going for that. Whereas, as has already been said, you go around in the circle of futility, running in this, again, it's the exhort on Sunday, the circles and lines, but we have a set goal and capitalism doesn't.
Nice.
I like
Thank
it.
you
It's
very
good.
much for that. All right.
I'll just read the verse that someone called David and Jenny put up. And I looked it up because if you've read it, you might be a bit confused, because I think there's a typo, because it says in the chat box, command those who are rich in this world not to be arrogant or put their hope in God, for riches are uncertain. It doesn't quite read like that. Verse 17 says, put your hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. So it is encouraging us to put our hope in God, which can be trusted rather than the uncertain riches.
Yeah, thanks for that, John. Yeah, thanks for that, John. Yeah, I haven't ever been employed as a good typist, so that's a good example. But yeah, but the thing is, you know, as the pitch, and I think, you know, some of the comments have been brilliant about the pitch. Seems to me that in this day and generation, when we've got COVID-19 around and businesses on their knees and failing and all the rest of it, that riches can be uncertain, and therefore it's a good opportunity to, if we do come across people who feeling that, they say, well, you know, there is another way, you know, there is another way in which you can have certainty about riches, and that's about eternal life. So it's an opportunity, you know. I think that's one of the things that COVID-19 is presenting us with, an opportunity.
Nice. Yeah, certainty, just that one word is yeah, it's good. I like it. Good find. We'll just read out what Cheryl has got. I'm refusing to call her by a nickname. The wealthy want to live forever and invest in can you read that word, Zach?
Cyronics.
Cyronics. To be what is this? What are these words?
You know, in on future movies, they put them in that like fluid, so it keeps their body for when they're about to die, they get like frozen in place so they can be revived when technology's good enough in the future.
Oh, okay. Do you want to read the rest of that so I don't misquote these words?
To be cryopreserved for the future. If you follow Jesus Christ, you have the hope of living forever in the kingdom and don't need to be frozen with cryo. Oh yeah, cryo protected. So it's that you see it on like sci-fi movies. It's like a tube that they put the bodies in, and it goes, and then like 1,000 years later, they open it up and like, you're alive. We've got the technology to fix your brain blot or something.
Gotcha. Han Solo.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the Empire Strikes Back. I don't know. Anyway, good. Okay. Interesting. That's a good one. All right. I'll quickly get on to mine because time is getting away from us. Oh, and we have, let me just clear that weird little death line that we now have. We have the final verse. Oh, someone talking there? No?
Can I have a word?
Oh, sure. Go for it, Jackie.
My mum used to say, to give away something that cost you nothing was of no credit whatsoever. And that if I gave my oldest clothes to the op shop, it was no credit to me because they were no use. That what God wants us to do is give something that costs us something. And you remember that David in Samuel, when that joker said, here, have my land, David said, I can't give God what cost me nothing. And way up there, I wrote the widow's mite in the chat, because when Bill Gates gives away $100 billion, if he does, he doesn't miss it. That woman gave everything. That's the difference between proper giving and the other sort that's irrelevant and of no credit to the giver.
Nice. That's heavy hitting stuff, Jackie. That's good though. I like it.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you to mine taught me that.
Thank you to Jackie's mum. Right, the verse you've all been waiting for, the fourth reference to possession in the New Testament. I put work in progress there because, quite honestly, I'm not even sure how to use this verse for a pitch, but I decided to hold it back from you all until now anyway. The verse is actually in Titus chapter 2, and I've written in the first few verses, and it's obviously in verse 14, but I'll read it out quickly for you. For the grace of God has appeared that offers salvation to all people. It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in this present age, while we wait for the blessed hope, the appearing of the glory of our great God and Saviour, Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us to redeem us from all wickedness and to purify for himself a people that are his very own, eager to do what is good. I just thought it was interesting that the fourth reference we have to of this word, and it is nowhere else. This is actually a slightly different word to the other three that we've looked at, but it's more or less the same thing. And it's the only place that this exact word appears in the New Testament. It's just interesting. The other ones have been talking about humans' possessions, and then we changed to that we are God's possession. So yeah, I don't know how to and that sort of mindset of capitalism trying to build positions essentially, and then flipping it all on its head. We are actually God's possession, and recognizing that is something we need to do. Anyway, that may or may not work as a pitch. So I had another one.
Well, can I zip into that one? Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what is God's. Is it a similar sentiment to that argument from Jesus? What's the image, the inscription on the coin? So we possess this money, but actually God's inscription is on us, and this says that we're purchased as a possession of God. So we can think far beyond what we have. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a thought, a little reference that captures the idea.
No, that's good. All right. The other one I had, and this might be a little bit advanced for someone that's depending on who you're talking to, I guess, but and not disappointed, but surprised no one's really brought up the kingdom of God in the sense of economy and what capitalism is now in terms of the way that we live. Everyone's trying to make money to survive, and the rat race and all this sort of stuff. And then thinking about this future time, what is the currency of the kingdom of God, and are we trying to live out the kingdom of God now in the way that it will be, in terms of, will there be money? Will we have businesses? Will we work in the same way? I can't imagine we will. I assume, and this is a pretty new thought, so I haven't kind of completely, it's not quite pitch ready, but I'll give it to you anyway. Things of value in the kingdom of God are forgiveness, grace, and mercy. Those are like the tangible things of value. If you can forgive people, then you probably have more power than someone with millions of dollars in the kingdom. If you are able to show mercy, as we know from the parables, then, you know, I just think twisting the paradigm a little bit of, well, we don't even have to say twisting the paradigm, from living how we are now to the kingdom age, those things of value will be quite different. So why strive after this money when really things of value in the future are going to be non-money related? Titus 1 verse 16. No longer as a slave, but better than a slave, as a dear brother. He is very dear to me, but even dearer to you, but as a fellow man and as a brother in the Lord. I threw this in at the end just because I thought, you know what, you're actually a slave. You're all a slave anyway, because you'll be a slave to sin. So you might think you've got all this money because you've got this power, but really just a slave until you have accepted Christ. So how does that float your boat, Mr. Money Man? Getting harsh now. And that's my pitch.
Nice.
Good.
Zip in. Ooh, we got Ron. Parable of the talent suggests the kingdom currency will be the reward of our current investment.
Ooh.
Yes, I guess forgiveness, grace, and mercy now. We'll cash it in, at judgment time.
Nice. Yeah, very good. It's probably part of it, probably opens a bigger discussion around what will the setup of economics be in the kingdom. Will people run little, carpentry businesses, or will it be purely just an what's the system that everyone seems to like in Scandinavia, the whole universal basic income, where we all just get the same amount, equality is leveled.
UBI.
Yeah.
No, we'll have a card. The Saints will get like a Christ card, right? You can just swipe that, just currency, whatever.
True. Well, let's wrap this up because this recording's gone on way too long. But we can. I'm all interested in the economy of the kingdom. But let's quickly talk about next week as we end. Zach and I are going on holiday for approximately 4 weeks, maybe 5, but I can't remember. And we will be back with some more lifestyles to explore and try and pitch to. So while we are away, you will be entertained by Ron and Reese in Reopening Revelation. Wow, there's a lot of R's. I've only just worked that out. That's great.
Sorry.
And their study one is next week.
I've been stalling. These are the big ones. We've been stalling while this builds up. So if anything in preparation, they've been locked away, and I'm excited because we're reopening Revelation.
We are, and this is they promise pitched to people that haven't really explored it, right through to people that have tried a number of times to open it, from people that think they're comfortable with it to people that are scared running from it. So hopefully they can encourage us all, hopefully, big challenge, to look at Revelation with a bit more understanding. So we look forward to that next week. But let's wrap this up if we can, and we can discuss some more. But Zach, do you want to close with prayer, and
yes, let's do that. Right.
Cool.
Let's pray. Our awesome, loving Father who is in heaven, we are thankful in that we can get together and look at these modern issues in relation to your word, that we can carefully consider how you view a subject, and we can sort of bounce around ideas together so that we might be able to appeal to other sorts of people that we could maybe, God willing, one day bring into Christianity, so that they can see that your son is ultimately the best person ever, and that your lifestyle is one that everybody should be trying to go for. So, Father, we thank you for everything that you do for us. We thank you that you supply us with our daily bread, and we ask this prayer through Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.